Hello and welcome back to Turner Design Studios. I'm sorry, I did that in the last video too. Turner Music Academy. There will be a link to Turner Design Studios in the description, and this video will not be edited by me because I will actually put it in the description as opposed to doing it afterwards. Now, last time we talked about a few different things. The first, we talked about treble clef and bass clef, and I said I was gonna not do percussion. And we left off at rests, and we talked about notes as well. So we went over, it's in the previous video, look at it. And this video is not going to make sense anyways if you don't watch the previous video. So let's pick back up where I left off, and I'll do a quick recap. Whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note. There's more than 16th note. There are 32nd notes. There are 64th notes. So let's look. We talked about the dot. This is a dotted half note. It gets 3 beats. 3 beats in a 4-beat bar. Okay. We talked about beaming. Any note higher with a higher value than an eighth note cannot be beamed. So whole notes cannot be beamed. Half notes and whole notes and quarter notes cannot be beamed. We talked about rests. So the dot in the length of the note always goes off to the right side, because if you have a dot where it's directly underneath the note, so if it looks like this, that would be a staccato. No. Okay. And a staccato note means to play the note short or to play it sharp. So instead of like da 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 da, you do da 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 da. That's an example of staccato. We have quarter rests. Rests, as I left off in, or I was getting to in the other video, rests are where you don't come in. So if you play rhythm, and let's say that you're trying to play for a, the song itself is building up to a solo. Well, you as the rhythm guitarist, generally speaking, may or may not play with the soloist. In many examples, you won't. So there are different kinds of rests. There's the quarter rest, which looks like this, and it would fit like this into a staff. There's the eighth note rest, which looks like that, which you would count that the same as an eighth note for half a beat. There's the 16th rest, which you would count for a quarter of a beat. So if you were phrasing, it would be one e-anda, but you would just go one, and then you would play the e-anda. Okay. The half note rest sits in the middle on top of the line. Like I said, in the middle of the staff. And then the whole rest sits right underneath, sits on top of the, like right underneath the fourth line and that is for 4. These look very similar. And then the dotted half rest is for 3 beats you would rest, and you would put a dot next to it. So the next thing is accidentals and semitones. So an accidental is something like a sharp or a flat or a natural, a double sharp, which looks kind of like an X, or a double flats. And these two things are very advanced theory, more or less. I've never played this, and I've played this maybe once, twice, maybe around about 5 times. So something to keep in mind is to always put the accidentals before the note and in the same space as it, and then they only last for a bar and only affect the line or space in which they sit. So for example, this is going to let's just say that this is a bar here. So here we have C. I'll tell you what. Just keep this in mind for a minute. We're going to come back to this, but what we're going to do in this video is actually talk about, we're going to go back to the clefs, and I'm going to give you some more examples of the notes. So here we're just looking at treble clef, and here, as I said in the previous video, I've started at A, and I've actually gone up an octave now, or 8 steps, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps from the first tonic. This is called the tonic, the first note. And then here, I've gone up another octave. So here we have middle C, and I talked about that. So this is A in the 4th octave, because this C4 is middle C. So here we go up to now A in the 5th octave. Here I put C as the 5th octave, and we have D, E, F, G, and A. We've gone back. So from here, notice this note here starts 2 ledger lines below the staff. To here is 1 octave, and then here to here is another octave. So I put 2 in there. And like I said in the previous video, music, a big part of theory of music is understanding the sequence of notes, and then of course scales are the keys to music. So you can't understand music if you don't know scales. You can't write music if you don't know scales. You can't create chords if you don't know scales. So understanding scales are really important, and this is not a scale, but it just goes to show you that all of the notes, what the notes themselves represent, whether they're above the staff or below it, is that they have names and go in a numeric value. And it's likened pretty easily. Now, here we're going to move on to another example. This is F. This is bass clef. And here I've started at F, and I've gone up to another octave. Okay, so here we have the same example. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B, and then C. Here we have middle C again. Now, if you're asking yourself, didn't I just see middle C in the treble clef? Yes, you did, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. This is the same note that you just saw. That was lower. That was like roundabout. That was lower than this note in treble clef. Okay? The reason, and again, same A, B, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Same pattern. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is called the grand staff. And here is middle C. So as we can see, treble sits on top of bass. So this is really important for a few different reasons. I'm going to touch on this. So if we did this whole staff here, from F here all the way up to F there, okay, this would actually be 3 octaves, okay? And the octaves, this would be F2 on a piano. And here we have G, and then I put A3 here, B, and then C3 here to show you that this to this is C4. Middle C, or called middle C. Middle C is the 24th white key on a piano, on an 88 keyed piano. So this is important in theory for musicians, because if you were to ever sit down on a piano, you would know that if you just had this, you wouldn't need anything else. You could tell, and you knew where middle C was. But even if you didn't, and you knew the sounds of the notes or whatever, all of this is a part of one instrument, which is all a part of music. Okay? It's round and round and round and round. It's a circle, it's a cycle. Okay? So there are other things to this, but that's pretty much the basis. And let's move on. This video is going to be about 20 minutes. So the next thing that we need to do is talk about key signatures if we're going to understand how to read music. So a key signature, how it works is this. I want you to write down this acronym, because here you have F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. And this is the number of sharps that you will put in a key signature. An F sharp will always sit at the top of the staff, and C sharp, because it's first here. We're going to talk about circle of fifths in the next video, probably, if not part number 4, where this will be even clearer. I could pull it up now, but I'm not going to. So the reason why we have this here is because so basically if you saw, there's no key signature here, but there's one here. So the point here, this is a key signature that has sharps or flats in it, which we called accidentals earlier, but these are not accidentals, this is just the key signature. So here we have another key signature. This is the key of B flat here and the key of B flat for bass clef. And notice they are different because B flat sits here on, or B rather sits there for bass clef. And notice that here we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, okay, here. D, E, F, G, A, B. So 1, 2, it sits on the 3rd line. And here we have 1, 2, and it sits on the 3rd line. Okay? So if this, coming back, grounding ourselves to earth here, if we have 3 sharps, then we're gonna know, we know that the sharps are going to be these notes here. And let me show you this. So like I said earlier, F sits at the top of the staff. F sharp will sit at the top of the staff, which is this here. You do it up, down, and then up. It's kind of like this pattern, like that, okay? And then C sharp is placed after the F sharp and lower on the staff, like I just said, and this will always be true. And then the G sharp is placed higher and after the C sharp. So like I said, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp here we have the A major scale without a key signature, and I'm going to talk about major scales a little bit later. This is ascending without the octave. So this is A, this is B, this is C sharp. Remember how I said you always write accidentals in front of the note? Okay, you never write them afterwards. So A, B, here we have C sharp, then D, then E, then F sharp, and then G sharp. And so why we do that, notice there's no key signature over here because I've just written in the notes. Why we do that is because if we know that this is the key signature here, that means that every single time, knowing how to read music, every single time on whatever the notes are, whatever they are, that we're in the key of A major in treble clef, and that in the key of A major on this key signature is representing the F sharps, C sharps, and G sharps. Well, they will always be played as sharps, so we don't need to write them in now. We don't need to write in the accidentals for C, F, and G sharp. Okay? And the same key signatures are used for both major and minor keys. So here we have another acronym that my teacher in school taught me as BEADGCF. So BEADGCF. And that is the order of flats. So here we have, this is again the key of B flat. And B flat has two flats in it. And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit when I get to music theory. I might bounce back here. I probably will bounce back here because there's a lot of material that I have. All right? So stay tuned, and even if this doesn't make sense now, it will. Okay? Because I know what you're probably thinking here. Well, A major, and you know, but A is right here. A is the fifth note, and what does all this mean? This is just theory. It is a little bit of theory. It's formula that you have to keep in mind. So stay with it. Stay with me. And stay tuned. So that's all. So the order of flats, and keep this in mind. Okay, because this is a B. This again, key of B flat bowl. Okay, well, what's this? This would be E. If we look here for our bass clef. E sits 1, 2, 3, in between spaces 3 and 4. And we see that it does. Well, then why is the B flat there? Why is there just not a B flat? Because I'll answer that question. The answer to that question is because if there was only one flat in the key signature, that would be the key of F major. Or I'm not going to do minor keys yet. But, so stay with me. Alright, this video is almost over. So if you're falling asleep, wake up, because we still have one more thing left to do and talk about the time signature here. Now, notice for this example, which I'm going to get into in just a minute, we're in a clef. We have our key signature, and this would be the key of B flat, and then this here represents the time signature, and this is honestly how these three things are pretty much how you read music, knowing how the notes are, because you see I have a bunch of different ones here. So the point is, I might not have time to do this, but time signature, okay, we have common time signatures, and here we have 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, 3/8, 4/2, 3/2, 2/2, and 6/8. So what does all that mean? Okay, well here, I'm only going to go over 4/4 time in all of these examples. So these are just for your pleasure. But one thing, this is what I'm going to leave off at in this video, is that there is a famous group called Pink Floyd, and they have a song in their album Dark Side of the Moon, which was the #1 best-selling album of all time for 15 years straight. Okay? and it's written in 7/8, and it goes boom, bum, ba, boom, 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 boom. I didn't count that correctly with my pulse metronome, but it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you'd go 1 and 2 and 3 and then it would be off, and then 2 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, that sort of thing. Boom, bum, ba, bum, boom, 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 ba, ba, boom, 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 boom. It's pretty great. It's a great song. You should listen to it. So stay tuned for part 3. And I didn't have time to just listen to money if you want to, if you have time. All right, stay tuned.